Good day, everyone. We're here for another segment of Crystal Clear Conversations. Today we have a very special segment and guest, and this is personal to me, and I'd like to welcome Baba Osageyfo into our segment. We're here in St. Louis, just finished up the African Arts Festival, and we want to talk about this great legend right here. This is personal for me because I follow up this man's tree. I'm part of his destiny, his career, I'm part of his legacy, his future. So I'd like to welcome in, Bob, again. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
Welcome in. So a couple quick questions, Baba. So as you know, every journey begins with the first step. When was your first step?
Well, Philadelphia is home. Okay, and that's where all this began, in Philly. And at that time, we were the Irresistible Earring Company, EAR.
Okay.
Irresistible Earring Company. And what we made was earrings. And we made a vow, the brothers that I was working with, that we would never make the same thing twice for the first year that we were doing this, right? And in effect, that's what we did. We held true to what we said we were going to do. At that time, I was the national liaison for the Black People's Topographical and Research Center.
Right.
Okay. That means I was census, but not United States government census, underground,
yes,
Black activist, freedom fighting census. So crowd control, the ability to tell what a crowd basically is, who's there, the demographics, how many. That's what I did. And then we toured the nation with that. Okay. Welcome to the Black People's Topographical and Research Center. By topography, we mean the study of maps and charts to depict where we are and where we are not. Now, that sort of thing. See?
Right.
So everybody came through there. The central location was Chicago. And my teacher there was the founder of the Willie Lynch letter. This guy is underground. Man, he's underground.
Yeah.
Okay, but he's gone now. God rest his soul. And he gave us a bunch of information. Information is still not only pertinent today, but has not even arrived on the horizon today for us to study and observe. Because we're feeding it. He used to say, before you give a baby meat, you've got to give the baby milk so it can develop the sense of how to eat something else other than the milk. So the mother's milk, well, that's what we were. We were giving the nation a whole nother view of how things were supposed to be. No marching, no carrying weapons, no trying to kill anybody. But at the same time, if you attack us, we would defend.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we did bodyguard work. We did a number of things, but the main thing was education.
Right.
Your brother said, whether it's weak or no persistent defense, there is the constant enthusiasm to exploit. Now you think about what I just said. Whether it's weak or no persistent defense, there is the constant enthusiasm to exploit.
That's right.
Okay, so now we've been exploited here now for the last 500 years, not 400, 500.
Right.
Okay, we go all the way back to St. Augustine when the Spanish came in. Don't matter which oppressor was oppressing us.
Right.
Y'all started 500 years ago.
Right.
All right. Now our job, once again, is not to hurt anybody. I ain't trying to bother nobody, but you're not going to hurt me.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to have that. So we'll find a way to get the job done. We built this.
Right.
We built the world.
Right.
We are the Moors. We are the Black people of this planet. Okay,
right.
The original man.
That's right.
Okay, call it what you like. It's irrelevant. We are what we are. That which we are because we are.
That's right.
Now you're good.
You're
Okay,
good.
that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. So in being the custodian of the planet, a Black man in Kiswahili has to have kasi. What does that mean? It's K-A-S-I. Kasi means work.
Yes.
If you cannot work, you can't hunt with the men. You can't have a weapon. You can't take a wife, and you better not get nobody pregnant.
Right.
Okay? So you got to have that power to step out and do what has to, you know what we've been doing, through rain, through storms, through trucks breaking down, through losing inventory, you know what I'm saying, through going to the white man's jail, all those kind of things, disease, pestilence, famine, all the things that we've been through here. Most recently in these last couple, 2-3 years, we've come right through it. And there should be no doubt in anybody's mind that we're going to come through it because we've been here coming through everything they've thrown at us for 500 years. Now, how does that affect where we started? The Irresistible Earring Company. I had to get that out so we'd have an understanding. A black man that does not have kasi, he's not a man.
Right.
He's somewhere in limbo.
Right.
So that means now we're going to work to do what? To make money? Yeah, but that's secondary, or maybe even third.
Mm-hmm.
We're working to build something. If you're building something, you're in the eye of God. And if you internalize and teach others to build, then you become in the heart of God.
That's right.
Okay? The breath of God comes through you to internalize that reality and offer it to others. Because your purpose here is to find what you're supposed to be doing. That's why you're on this planet.
That's right.
You're special. You're the chosen. Chosen to do what? A lot of folks say that we're the chosen. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you we're the chosen. Yeah. And I defy any of their scholars to come and debate with me in relationship to who we are. Chosen to bring truth and justice back to a world that is so tied up in horrific reality that we don't know what truth is, and we don't know what this is. We're not even talking about just truth. We're talking about absolute truth.
Right.
To live it and try to walk it. Okay? And we're talking about supreme justice. And as long as we understand that, we're then in a position to begin to build something. All right? So now, we stumbled in. Okay, no, what do you mean stumbled in? To make a mistake, Rostri, is to stumble forward faster.
That's right.
The only failure in this life is resignation. When you quit, you fail.
Come on.
So we stumbled in. I was building the Topographical Research Center in Philadelphia because I've been in Chicago, Wisconsin, the surrounding areas, Missouri, all that stuff for years. So when I came home from Vietnam,
mm-hmm.
all right, and I was in Philly, and we stumbled into these brothers making jewelry. He's putting little red, black, and green beads on the copper. $3 a pair of earrings, right? That's all.
Around what year was this, Baba?
1970.
Okay.
And it's an East Coast thing. Mm-hmm. New York, Philadelphia, D.C., they were doing that, whereas hadn't quite started yet, like in Detroit,
right.
Chicago, St. Louis. You know, that wasn't quite there yet. So it was really, really tough at the East Coast at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother had moved to Wisconsin for job opportunities and all that. And so I went to visit her. And I had my stuff.
Right.
It was a great story. I had my stuff, my little fork rings and bracelets and copper, this, that, and the other. And throw it out on the blanket, mm-hmm. right, and set it down. So there's a big art show down this bluff. It's like maybe 100-foot drop on the beach on the Lake Michigan.
Okay.
And all the white folks are down there. Not now black folk were selling anything, but there were a few black folks down there buying.
Right.
So they got to come down the bluff to get there. I put all my stuff right up at the top. And, you know, in Philly, man, if you make $50, $60 in a day, and he's out in 1970,
right.
and you do that 7 days a week, brother, my rent, electric, all the utilities was $80
yes,
in a nice place, right? In Philly, it was decent. So I set that out. Hey, man, in the first hour, I got about $400 or $500. Wow! And so, you know, whenever things are at their best tree, look for the demons to come.
Right.
Okay, don't get carried away, but stay on guard, right? All of a sudden, this voice comes out of the sky. How much is that one? And I know the voice. Right. It's a cop on a horse.
That's a sky cop.
Yeah, that's a sky cop. So in Philly, when you be in the park somewhere where you ain't supposed to be, you know, you ain't got no license to all that, you can't get away. You can't outrun the horse.
Right.
They take your stuff, whoop your butt, and then if you be a good Negro, they might let you go. They don't book you or nothing, right? Damn, man. I knew this. See, I'm still thinking negatively because I'm young. I said, I keep doing. He said, no, how much is that one right there? And the cop gets down, this is Wisconsin,
right?
Gets down off the horse and picks up the little bracelet. I'm still trying to think, is this a whammy? What's going on? Is he trying to make me sell something in front of him so he can prove that I broke the law? I don't know what's going on. My inner self said, let's go on and roll with it. It says, $35, officer. I said, I'll take it. Pulls out his money and gives me $40 and tells me to keep the 5. Wow. I'm still looking at the other people. Now they're getting excited because the cops are buying.
Right.
Oh, man, we're making money, right? I said, they ain't never seen what we're doing. They only see the stiff art that they do, right? This is another whole vibe. And I said, I shall stay. I ain't never leaving here. It's the place to be right now. In other words, that was okay out there. But this is outstanding. Plus, I got relatives here, my younger brothers and sisters and all that, so it's great. And ended up marrying my sister's best friend. We've been married now for 50 years plus. We started the business together. And it went from the Irresistible Earring Company to silver and gold. No company, none of that, just silver and gold. And in that area, regionally, everyone knew us because it was different than what they had seen. And there were not it was a thimble full of black people, and we didn't know anything about art shows in Philadelphia and New York. You hustled on the street. We were able to get into the art shows, and we were like we were anomalies. We were unbelievable. We were the chosen Negroes, okay? And we were making money, but I never forget, I got a purpose here. Right. Something I'm supposed to be doing here. Right. I made sure that my children had knowledge and understanding and information, and that all of them had free names, you know what I'm saying, and that they went to schools that we had control of what was going on. I was able to come in and lecture during Black History Month. You know, I'm on this board and that board of the school. Yeah. We don't want them to go to private schools because then you don't get the social investment that is necessary to recognize how to move around in society. You got to learn how to when to hold it, you know, when to fold it. See, and they did get that. All of my children are in business. Everybody's in business. All of them, all 5 of them, and then the extended family, like yourself. Right. You know, there are actually thousands of young people in the 50 years that we've been involved that have learned something from us that puts them in a position to go clerical, to go art, to go defense, to go something related to this is what I'm doing for myself. Okay, go ahead.
Let me ask a couple quick questions. So you actually answered some questions I had already.
Good.
Let's take it back to the earlier days. Who were the predecessors before yourselves? There are none.
No.
Right.
The late 60s, early 70s is when all this began. It began with the last poets and all the different art involved messengers, and then we just took it from a performing art perspective to a visual art perspective, and it kind of all fit in together. Right. So I didn't know any. There were no people that were like doing this for 20 years. You know, like when you met me, I was doing it for 40 years. Right. Okay, there was no people like that we met. Now there were some painters, but they were more involved with the status quo of America. Right. We were not involved with that. Okay. We were trying to teach that in order for us to survive this, we've got to prepare and recognize that when you stand in chaos, when you recognize that you're in chaos, you also stand before the doormat to order, because the opposite of chaos is order. So if you're looking at chaos, turn around. That's right. Order's right there. But you can't keep going into this. That's right. We're not looking for negative. We're going to overcome negative. We're going to train negative. We're going to defeat negative. No, we're trying to get away from negative. Mm-hmm. What do you mean, run? Fly. Whatever you got to do, get away from that. But at the same time, be prepared to defend. Right. So negative is going to come every day. Right. Okay, that's all part of this life, positive and negative. Right. In the middle of that, son, in the S-U-N, son, in the middle of that is law. What law? The black law of neutrality. Okay, you can call it God, you can call it Olodumare, you can call it Chinrizi, you can call it Buddha, you can call it Allah. Those are names. Right. Okay, law. What is law? How about the law of opposites, the law of gravity, the law of plurality? Do you understand what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
These are laws that are indefatigable.
That's
That
right.
means they never change. They're here to give you light into what direction you should be moving into.
That's correct.
So what happens is when you're searching, the attempt to figure out what to internalize and what to reject oftentimes gets confusing. But there's a simple parable. And if you recognize it, then you'll ride with what you're supposed to be doing to get to where you're supposed to be. That is, a change is inevitable. However, growth,
is optional.
that's it, son.
Yes, sir.
And I'm saying, if you just remember that, it's going to be ups and downs. You bring all of that to you. That means let's get beyond guilt and blame and get to fixing whatever the problem is that needs to be fixed. Because if we're pointing at people and we're blaming them, we never really review ourselves.
That's right.
So the first thing are always first, and that is, whenever there's a problem, review you, dig you, do you,
Right.
analyze you. And then once you've done that, now you can go deeper into the problem, into the situation, into recognizing that after anything occurs, be it negative or positive, it ends up being positive.
That's right.
It's always positive. It's going to always come back to that. And the only thing not susceptible to any of that is truth and justice. It stands as those pyramids stand out there, in the desert.
Right.
It stands right there letting you know this is what you did.
Right.
What? They say 4,700 years ago? Well, my examination says maybe as far back as 12,000 years ago. Okay, Harakimaket.
Yeah.
That's Kemetic for the Sphinx. Sphinx is a Greek word. Okay, and if that's true, and we recognize that the face that sits in that great lion out there on the desert is Menes. Okay, that's what Memphis was named after.
Right.
And Memphis is Cairo today in Arabic. So that means if those things go back, carbon-14 dating, 12,000 years ago, that means that the dynasties were that old. But someone else is determining our history through what we're doing here today, working with building.
Right.
From art. Art is a personification of any given culture. That culture then defines the political direction that the people who call themselves artists are headed into.
That's right.
No art, it's a dead world.
That's right. So I like to look at it as, assume that we talk to people across the galaxy and they said, okay, we've seen what you got on planet Earth, but what do you make?
Yeah.
What do the people make?
Yeah.